Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the Here in the Turnbuckle podcast. The sun is shining. West Ham are relegated. What more could you ask for? This is actually a review of the show that we went to yesterday over in Westcliff, very local to us here in Essex. It was DKW Beach Battle. It was a great overall show. But I will break it all down, shall we say? And No better way to start with the opening contest, which was Big O defending his British Championship against Isaac Blair. Now, interestingly, I've never seen Isaac Blair work as a heel, work hated as a heel. First time for everything. And I think the crowd initially were like, oh, he's not smiling. He's not tagging us. Let's boo him. Crowd were red hot, by the way, throughout the whole show. I will say that. Very, very loud, involved in every single match. And credit is due for the crowd the Balmoral Centre for sure. But yeah, Isaac as a heel, never seen it, not against it, I might add, just never seen him work heels. It was an interesting one for me because I'd always seen, as I say, Isaac really played to the crowd, and he was very much less playing to the crowd. And there was a little bit of like I like the arrogance that he had in this because there was a little bit of, he was very. I don't know. Yeah, there was a bit of a confident swagger, shall we say, about Isaac Blair in this match. Really hard hitting. When I last went to a DKW show, I felt that the positioning of matches was wrong. And I said, you really needed to start a match up here because I think, if I remember serves me right, they had a match and then they had Jaden in the second match. And I kind of said you should have reversed them around. This was a perfect way to start. The crowd were in it from the word go. Hard hitting, my cup of tea, really. So it's a little bit, I suppose, out of proportion to what you would say, because it has to be your cup of tea, right? But this match certainly was a way that I would look to start any match on a show. Really hard hitting, lots of near falls in this. You didn't necessarily think that, the champion was going to retain. This was less than a 50-50. I think you could argue that Isaac was maybe a slight favorite going into this, to be honest with you. Um, but yes, very hard hitting, my kind of style match. It's not strong style, but there's a bit of elements of it in there. Lots of striking, lots of hard hitting chops, sort of stuff that's my cup of tea, really. So again, I suppose it's a little bit of an impartiality in this because of it's kind of my preference to what I prefer, and that's different to what you prefer. That's different to what they prefer. It's different to what maybe the crowd prefers. But definitely my cup of tea with this. But it was Big O that ended up picking up the victory in this match, and he's still the champion. He did ask for a handshake at the end. Isaac kicked the hand away, um, to basically maybe indicate he hasn't earned the respect of Isaac Blair yet in this. I would say very well played for both guys. Really looking forward to seeing what's next between for both of these men. Really, this was Isaac's return to DKW. He's been doing a lot on the scene. He nearly won the Hitting the Turnbuckle Championship in February. So I know I've kept a good eye on Isaac over the last sort of year or so. And he's very, very impressive, bright future. Big O is definitely a crowd favorite for DKW. That is without question. And ever improving. This may have been the best Big O match I've seen. And I've seen a few matches now with Big O. And every time I see him, let's say there's an improvement. Listen, I'm not a wrestling scout. I don't appear to be or want to be for that matter. But I like, and I like to see people improve and get better. And Big O's certainly doing that. Maybe going a bit under the radar as an argument there for him. But certainly want to see more of him and looking forward to seeing more of him, hopefully in the rest of that is 2026. Certainly see him again at DKW. We'll be back for certain show in the future. Anyway, that's for certain. Right, match number two. Now, you see, I've got a little bit of biasness in this one because of the stuff that's been going on at Ignite with Tom Mercer and his rebellion breadwins, so to speak. He was in action against someone who, again, I've watched now for the best part of the year. He keeps getting better and better and better. Um, and that is AJ Payne, the Juice. Now, AJ's really working on submission style wrestling. Hard hitting strikes again, very, very quick, but now is very much adapting a submission style to his game. So he's very much body part. We're going to control that body part. We're going to damage that body part. And then I'm going to hit you with a submission. You're going to tap to that body part. That's what he's doing. What I liked about AJ in this one, he took advantage of the heat in the room, the weather in this. Obviously, Tom Mercer is a big old guy. He's a big lump. Well, he's a big lump. He's just tall, hence the name Tall Tom. But the conditioning factor played a part in this match. And as the match wore on, you could see Tom was fatiguing a little bit, getting a bit tired. What I would say about Tom Mercer, and give credit where it's due to him. I mean, he was just as quick, if not quicker, than Archie in some of this match. It really, really was. It surprised me. I've seen Tom wrestle a lot of matches, and again, a bit like a Big O. The more I see of Tom, the more impressed that I am with him, as much as it pains me to say it. But in July 12th, Tom, you're not going to be able to come to Ignite anymore because you're losing. But we'll see you elsewhere for sure. But he has got so much in his arsenal. When I said this when I was interviewing Brian Cage once about the big man, it's not about being a big man anymore. It's about everything else that you do in the ring. Tom's got so much in his arsenal, and he's probably got more that he hasn't unlocked yet, which is quite a scary thought because he can go. He was very quick in this. There was some agility from him as well, leapfrogging some really high boots in this. Archie was doing the submission game, which is what he's been training on clearly at Cobra. Um, Again, like I said before, lots of sleeper holds from Archie in this because taking the point of the fact that it was warm, conditioning factor. Tom's a big man. He has to go a bit. When he obviously runs, there's a lot more energy that he zaps. So as the match wore on and wore on and wore on, Arch was locking in sleeper after sleeper after sleeper, wearing Tom down. And eventually it was that got Arch the victory in this. And I'm liking the style that Archie's got because he's now got, I would say, more than one piece to his game. He can hit hard, he can lock in slice bread, get the job done. He's now adding a submission and ground element to his game, which, is all round game. There isn't really too much that I haven't seen Arch do in there at the moment. He's been in a ring with some of the best. Obviously, Spike Trivet recently. I'm sure he's got another big match coming up later down the line with Cobra. He's back at Ignite and definitely in November, maybe before that, I don't know, but definitely in November as part of the breakout. He is just becoming a name that I think by the end of the year will be on most people's lips in the independent scene. And that, testament to his work, testament to what he's doing. With Tom, I think people just don't understand how good that he actually is. People may just look at him and go, just like I said earlier, he's the big man. He's not. There is so much to his game that people, unless you watch him in a ring and don't just look at a poster and think, oh yeah, the giant. If you watch him in the ring and everything that he does, you will notice that he is more than that big man and he's got a lot to offer any promotion. And that isn't, you know, that isn't me just blowing smoke. He really does. Arch, I think, will get there on merit. And this isn't a disrespect when I say Tom will probably have to work harder than Archie to get to that level, or maybe even that certain promotions that maybe they're looking to get to. Not because he's worse than it, but because I think the way in which he's perceived over his actual in-ring talent. So, what I would say to a promotion out there that would look at a promotional picture perhaps over a match in the ring with Tom Mercer, and as I said, it pains me to say it because this guy's an absolute arse at Ignite. But if you want someone that steps 1 foot out of that curtain and instantly the crowd are on him, or he can work a crowd, he literally just walks out of the curtain and that crowd are engaged, they're hooked, even if it's to boo him and call him lanky or whatever they're calling him, or whatever it is. Tom can do that. But what he can do, which I think a lot of promoters probably haven't seen, is he can do in that ring. And he can do it to a very, very good standard. And I just try what I would say to any promotion out there that, that perhaps has seen pictures of him and think, watch him because you're missing out if you're not booking that man. And again, I'm trying to help him get bookings because by July 12th, he's missing out on Ignite bookings once the Rebellion lose. Um, but in all seriousness, you need to take a good look at him because he's a lot more different to what you would imagine as a wrestler. But in this case, he didn't pick up the victory. Archie did, and he did signal for a championship opportunity. So I will wonder if that opportunity that Archie wants, would he get at DKW down the line? Because he's on a roll there. There is no doubt about it. He is on a roll at DKW, and perhaps a championship should be uh, in his sights in I would say in the very near future at DKW. We'll see what happens there. Now, before the interval, we had the craziness of tag team street fights for the tag team championships. They are held by KJB, which consist of Regan Blade, Matt Craven, and Founder Jackson. Now Regan Blade had a main event match coming up with Jaden, so they freebird the tag team championships here. So it was Founder Jackson and Matt Craven. Now they were going against Darcio of the First Class Flyers and David De Niro, who is a new one to me. I hadn't seen him a lot. Looks a lot like Tyler Walker, if I to bear comparison to. So he was a first class flyer here. This was just insanity. This was, sometimes with street fights, I find that, especially on the independent scene, they don't always live up to an expectation, or it's a street fight. We can get away with just doing the bare minimum. If we just throw a chair in there, the crowd will love it because it's something different. This was what I would like a street fight to be on the independent scene. And again, it's a personal preference over maybe what you or anybody else would think about. But I thought that this was just it. And when I say this, it sounds as if I'm being a little bit negative towards when I say it was a car crash. But it was a car crash in a good way. They spent more time on the outside than they did in the inside, which is this is a street fight. Why you don't need to spend a lot of the time in the ring. The most important thing that's got to happen in the ring is the referee counts to three. How you get there is up to you. And as I said, in some organizations and some promotions, they'll get away with just using a chair and that'll be it. And the crowd will be fine with it. Not here, and certainly not in this match because they brawled all the way around this center. They were using every. We had a rounders bat involved. Yes, we did have a chair involved as well in this. And for Darcio and David's, in particular, they found out very, very quickly about the fans of DKW who were throwing popcorn at them and the ring for that matter. I felt a bit sorry for the guy who had to clean up the ring at the interval stage. But yeah, they found out that they are very feral in Westcliff. But in terms of this delivered, this probably over delivered because like I said, some promotions you'll get away with just the odd thing being used, but they went that extra mile and made it like a street fight should be, in my opinion. Now, Founder Jackson did get carted off near the back end of this, and it turns out he's actually got an injured shoulder. So we do hope that he's better, or we hope that he gets better and it's not too serious. But it was a concerto from Darcio that led to the first class flyers in this case, Darcio, De Niro, and David De Niro, Darcio and David, I'll get that right, winning the tag team champs, becoming the new tag team champions of DKW. Bit of a shock if I'm being totally honest. They were Regan KJB weren't tag team champions for too long, but like I said, Regan certainly had bigger fish to fry in this occasion anyway. But fair play to the first class flyers. in a lot of adversity, and the adversity being the kids, shall we say, at Westcliff, sitting right near me, funnily enough, with the popcorn. But they done it. They went through adversity, and the Flyers won the gold. So fair play to the first class Flyers and Darcio and David De Niro picking up gold at DKW. So well done to you guys. First half was brilliant. I mean, you had those three matches alone in the first half, which you know probably I don't even say that some of them. I mean, the street fight definitely over delivered in my opinion from what I was expecting. The other two, I would say, absolutely delivered on what I was expecting, given the two matches and given the two men inside the ring on those two matches, and because I know quite a lot of them very very well, they certainly hit the right notes for certain in that match. We had the interval at that point. I will just quickly say before we move on to the last two that there was a part of this where the announcer and Champagne Charlie had a bit of a to-do in the ring, and it turns out they're the anniversary on July 12th. They're going to be having a match of sorts anyway. They're going to pick a person from the DKW roster each, and the loser has to shave their head. So the loser has to look like me. I mean, Champagne Charlie's got a lot of hair. He's got a lot of hair, bless him. And if I, would- he may have to take a few trips to Turkey if he loses that match. But you'll see that on July 12th for those that can get there. That will be an interesting one, without a doubt. So, make sure you go if you can make it go. Get there. It will be a great occasion. Back from the break, and someone who I always take issue with at DKW, Peter Miller, was next. He was facing no nonsense Tom Edwards. And I will say, again, credit to whoever put these matches together, but that was perfectly positioned match because you've having that break. I always class it as kind of like a roller coaster. You want your matches to go like this, then you have your break and you're down here, and then you've got to get the crowd back up ready for your main event. And this was perfectly positioned to do so. No nonsense, Tom Edwards. Getting he's a big lump and all. Miller, to tell you what, they had a lot of great bit of chain wrestling in here to start. I was very surprised by that. Lots of changes. I mean, I think I give Miller a hard time a lot of the time on here, and he did mug me off a few times during that. And Tom Edwards is bald like me as well, so he was making jokes throughout the match, which is fine. We're all fine with that. But I will say with Miller. He did impress me in this one. So credit where it's due to Mustache Power, whatever you want to call him. He did do very, very well. And this was a perfect match to have to, like I said, get your back up ready for your main event. And but unfortunately, I think every time I've gone, no, I think he won the first one. So yeah, he did win the first. I've been to the DKW three times. Miller's got a record of 1-2 because this was another going to his loss in the last time I went in November. So for November, was it November or February? I can't remember. Anyway, going to a loss in the last time I went to see them. So he's now lost twice. But I tell you what, these men, I mean, again, you got to remember now that we're hitting to a point, and I keep bringing the weather into it here because you do have to take in consideration the conditions. It was baking hot. The sun at this, and again, people are like, "What are you talking about?" When you're saying, "Well, the sun is at this point is beaming into the building, so it's at an angle where it's coming in to the arena, and it is, from a wrestler's perspective." It is baking hot in that ring. And I tell you, these guys, I mean, like I said, the chain wrestling at the start was a welcome surprise because this is what I personally like. And when I go to an independent show, what I'm really looking for is variety. And I got that in abundance here because your first match between Isaac and Big O was a heavy hitting striking contest. Your second match with Tom and Arch had the element of submission. As I said, Archie was working on that fact, using the Weber, fatiguing Tom out. So there was a different element. Your third match was a crazy street fight. And this fourth match started with chain wrestling, with something totally different, what we've not seen in these first three matches. And they delivered, and this very much over delivered. I'll be fairly honest with you, I had zero expectations of this match before it started. And again, over delivered in abundance with these two. And as I say, Edwards picking up the win. I give him his due. But I do tip my hat to Mr. Mustache himself, Peter Miller. A job very well done, certainly considering the conditions. I know I keep bringing that up, but it is massively important to remember that when you're in there. The conditions aside, very welcome surprise to see them two do very, very well in that ring. I will grant them that without a doubt. But we get to the main event of the evening now. I go about my expectations. I know these two very, very, very well. So I knew exactly what we were going to be getting here. It was Jaden Williams defending his showcase championship against Regan Blade. Now, if I'm right, when I first went to DKW over in the sort of the Halloween type last year, they had a match. Jaden picked up the victory. Regan had won a match earlier on in that night, which gave him the title opportunity. If I'm right with my remembering, I am getting older, so I may or may not be right with that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. But this one, so Regan didn't have to have a match now before. Regan went to this one fresh. Jaden obviously been very, very long time the showcase champion, and he is just so good. And I don't know whether he knows how good he is. And even with Regan, I think Regan's bulked up a little bit. There's certainly a bit more mass on him there than usual. So maybe he's working maybe on the look a little bit more. He's certainly got it in the ring. It didn't detect away from his usual high flying stuff because he was still going out there flying through the ring and doing what he usually does. Jaden was his usual self in there, just such a good. He works just so well, not only with the fans but with his opponent. If you've got good chemistry with Jaden, you're gonna have a great match. And I haven't seen. I can't even recall a match of Jaden's where I'd sit there and go, "Well, that was poor." Everyone that he's gone in the ring with that I've seen, anyway, has worked, and it's worked to a very high standard. And these two, they went. I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think this was pushing 25 minutes easy. Lots of fans of Regan's there. They really wanted him to pick up the victory. Again, the heat played a factor in this. I think at one point, Regan even took a drink. He was getting counted out outside the ring. I think he was on like eight. He had to swig a bottle of water and fly back in because they were wrestling at such a high pace throughout this that, like I said, those conditions were very hard. I mean, like today, I mean, if you've got any shows today, guys, good luck because it is ridiculous out there. But it does play a factor in this. However, to the delight of Westcliff, and not to the delight of everyone, really, I suppose, unless your name's Jaden Williams, Regan Blade gets the job done. I would say there was a great counter to a cutter off the top in this one as well, but it was Regan with the top rope cutter, with the super stomp, because he done a cutter, hit him with the stomp, which is usually the end game. Jaden kicked out of that, and even I'm thinking, wow, Jaden's going to find a way because Jaden Williams, Swift Sonic by name, Swift Sonic by nature, he would normally find a way out or find a way to win. But it was the super stomp off the top rope that Jaden hit and picked up the victory and become the new showcase champion. As everybody's going crazy, everyone's loving it. Out comes or out through I'd say through the exit really, or through the entrance and exit, come the first class flyers, Darcio and David De Niro. They were going after Regan. Out comes Big O. And it looks now what they're doing and what they've set up is a four-way match between those four for a very special trophy at the anniversary show. So that's going to be something for you all to look forward to July 12th. We're not there, unfortunately. We have a commitment. We've got our own championship match on that day, so we unfortunately won't be there. But I will say this in closing. The last show I went to, I was very mixed with the review. Honesty is the best policy with me, and I will always say that if I don't like something, I'll pick up on it. I will say it because listen, my opinion really doesn't matter, right? All that matters is that butts are in seats on your shows, and you take the majority of that crowd, the majority of that crowd. You want them to leave, and most important, leave happy, and most importantly, you want them to buy a ticket to the next show or the next time you're in that area as such. Because I know DKW do go around London and Essex quite a bit, so I would be amazed if anyone walked out of that show and doesn't buy a ticket for the next time they're in Westcliff or Leigh, wherever they're going to be, because what they delivered there far superseded the last show for me, for my personal opinion, far superseded that. The match positioning, spot on in this one. I can't fault any of the positions of the matches. That was absolutely, in my view, and again, this is just my view, but that's how I would position. If I was running a show, that's been the way I would position it. Like that. You start it off hot, you carry the momentum, craziness before the break, you give the audience a chance to calm down, catch their breath. You bring a match like the Peter Miller one, which steadies that ship right back up there, and then you knock it out of that park for the main and you send them home in a way in which people want to come back. And that's exactly what DKW did on that show. So kudos to you all, guys. You all delivered a sensational match, a sensational show in testing conditions. I'm not looking away at my screen for anything other than going to be bringing up the DKW stuff for the next show, guys. So just bear with me while I do that. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Brilliant show. Very much enjoyed it. Night and day from the last show that I went to. As simple as that. Right. So what I was bringing up is their anniversary show, July 12th. It's in Leigh. Go to dkwtickets.co.uk. You can get your tickets for that show. Child VIP tickets start from £13, adult VIP £17, £14 for a general ticket, £10 for a normal child ticket. You can get family of four tickets for £40 or family of four tickets for VIP for £52. You can also, I think you can also buy your the backstage pass of £4 after that. They're also doing a tag team World Cup in Bromley, by the way, and tickets are gone south for that as well. So I am just looking through all of this. You have to bear with me while I do this. I want to make sure I get this all in. Saturday, that's the day before. Saturday, 11th of July, Bromley Tag Team World Cup. Don't forget to go on that as well. That should be a very awesome one. Very rarely do you see tag team World Cups. If you're interested in becoming a wrestler as well, they are doing blocks of training sessions, blocks of 5 sessions here, £65, blocks of 10 sessions, £125. Look, a lot of people will say, sorry, you can buy a £50 gift card on there as well. There's always a lot of people that say, I want to become a wrestler, I want to become a wrestler. And if you're local to the Essex or London area and you can get down there, you can buy tickets to train to be a wrestler as well. So why not, eh? Give it a go. Give it a go. But again, great show. Very kudos in those conditions to DKW. Get yourself down to the next two shows, Bromley or Leigh, wherever you live closer to, Leigh or Bromley. Tag Team World Cup in Bromley, nicely planted for the obviously the World Cup and the anniversary show. I think it's like a 28th anniversary or something, 27th, 28th anniversary show in July 12th. Get down to that one if you can and you're in that area. Listen, if they're back, when they're back again after that date, as long as dates match up, we'll be there. So make sure you are too, because if they deliver a show like they did yesterday, you're in for a treat, guys. But anyway, look, guys, coming up this week on Hitting the Turnbuckle, a bit later on tonight, myself and David will be back reviewing Double or Nothing from last night, which was a hell of a show. Videos dropping this week. We have a TNA exclusive with Elena Black. You may know her as Cora Jade from the WWE, but now a TNA knockout. We have top 10 shows, and the Turnbuckle Arms makes its return tomorrow. So keep it locked on the channels, and also keep it locked to our socials, because in the next hour, probably hour and a half by the time this goes out, we'll be announcing the next Turnbuckle Championship match on our socials for our show on July 12th. But we'll give all ticket deals for that on there. We're not going to do it on here because it wouldn't be fair. So anyway, guys, get yourselves down to DKW, dkwtickets.com. Make sure you do that. Make sure you join us later on tonight for our Double or Nothing review. But until then, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye, and enjoy this heat.